Friends, monsters, lend me your ears, for today I will be talking about how the Dark Universe shall be the greatest part of Epic Universe. At least I hope. Anyway, so, today we got a full, we got shown concept and sneak peeks of the Dark Universe. Basically, for those who need a little refresher, Dark Universe is a part of the upcoming Universal Studios new theme park, Epic Universe, which will be showcasing the Universal Monsters, Super Nintendo World, the Ministry of Magic, and the Islands of Berk from How to Train Your Dragon, with future expansions hopefully in the future. Now, I've talked about Epic Universe and how awesome I'm excited for, and I'm more of a... And I'm not saying this because I love Universal more than Disney. I'm saying it because I'm excited for a theme park that's going to give me a Universal Monsterland. How fucking cool is that? Did Disney ever... the only thing... I have to imagine that the closest that Disney will have is finally break down and do that Disney Villains Land, Dark Kingdom, to compete with the Universal Monsterland. That's what that's what I think is happening with that whole Beyond Big Thunder project. But yeah. I'm also not saying this because, oh, I don't like Disney because it went woke because some right-wing grifter said so. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying just Disney as of late, theme park-wise, I'm talking, money-wise, and also, theme park ride-wise, has kind of been lackluster. And meanwhile, Universal Studios, they have their sins. Don't get me wrong. Looking at you, Fast and Furious ride. And also a few other rides along the way. They have managed to, make several hits. Way more than Disney has as of late. And now with Epic Universe on the horizon, Disney feels like, they're like the fat guy who is sleeping in the back corner, and now he realized that the buffet is about to close, so he's getting up and running in slow motion to the buffet table before it closes. That's kind of what Disney is in their reaction to all this. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's talk about why we're really here. I think Dark Universe will be the best part of Epic Universe. Now, keep in mind, I'm aware that the other things in that park are probably going to be, well, for lack of a better word, epic. I know everyone already has high expectations for Super Nintendo World. It should have just been called Mario World, but whatever. That's another topic for another time. So there already are expectations for that one. Plus, it's going to have the Donkey Kong ride there too. I'm also aware that Universal Studios is big on the Harry Potter stuff, and while I'm not a Harry Potter person myself, I understand that it was, in my perspective, a necessary evil to get the shit I want. So, that's fine. Yeah. And while I'm not a How to Train Your Dragon fan, I am, the coaster looks really cool, and I'm kind of excited for the show. But yeah. But Dark Universe, I think, will be the crown jewel of this, for several reasons. I believe that this will be a crown jewel for several reasons. A, the theming looks amazing. I really love the idea of all the Universal monsters existing in this town, in this village, which is called Darkmoor. A little too edgy for my taste, but whatever, we're going with that kind of feel. I have come around to the Universal monster designs, because I did say they were revamping them for a new generation, and it's mostly for a few reasons. I think there's also a few business reasons as to why they changed it. Reason number one is Bela Lugosi's Dracula and Boris Karloff's Frankenstein is about to become public domain in about, I think, 3 years, give or take. So so it's probably the same reason why Disney got so anal about Steamboat Mickey being public domain. Also, that one you can do horror. There's already in public domain horror movies with Frankenstein and Dracula. Go nuts. That's the one thing I'm guys, you can't do a cheap, bad horror movie. There's already been cheap, bad horror movies of Frankenstein and Dracula. You ain't scared. You ain't shocking me. But I digress. I've come around to the designs of the Universal monsters now that I've got to see them in an animated form. Now, Several reasons why I think this will really succeed is, again, theming is on point. I really like that, unlike the other universe, unlike the rest of the other parks, the other areas of Epic Universe, this one looks like it's telling a full story. This one appears to be telling like a full-on, we are telling a interconnected story, whereas Super Nintendo World is just there to be there. Ministry of Magic is just, you are there at the Ministry of Magic hanging out, and you just visit the Islands of Berk. Here it looks like there is a full-on interconnected story for Dark Universe, where we have actual monster hunters. We have Dracula, who is at war with Victoria Frankenstein, who I've said multiple times, and I'm glad they finally said the part I think people were missing. No, Victoria Frankenstein isn't a gender-bent version of Victor Frankenstein. She's the great-great-granddaughter of Victor Frankenstein. So, yeah, I can't believe people. But then again, people have a reason. I've known people who just twist the words around, for their own personal gain. But we'll not talk about that. Anyway, so I'm glad they finally they basically said what they've been saying the whole time is, no, it's not Victor, it's his great-great-granddaughter. Cool. Now, the other thing that I really like is, again, we're seeing it's a world of both monsters and monster hunters. And even the restaurants will have theming, like the steakhouse, or Das Steakhouse, which I really hope, because they said, there will be steaks in the steak. Like, wooden steaks, just to be clear. I know someone's gonna be like, they put a steak in another steak. And trust me, my inner fat kid would have loved that too. But no, it's like a whole-ass steak, which I don't know if that'll be wooden or not. It's probably expensive either way. But I hope you get to keep the steak. I really hope, they don't take the steak away from the wooden steak, steak away from you. I hope you paid for what I imagine is a lot of money. I'm keeping that damn steak. Okay? I am walking out of that theme park with that wooden steak, buddy. I spent a good $25, a good $30, $45. No, it'd probably be $55 for that steak. I'm guesstimating, and that steak better be bloody. I'm getting off topic. As I said, basically, what I like about it is that even the restaurants have theming. Something that Disney wanted to do, but failed at in multiple courses. Like, the Star Wars restaurants were the whole land was supposed to have theming of, you being this great, how well you did on Smuggler's Run, characters be like, oh yeah, you did not so good, or I heard this, and this. And then they dropped that, probably because they realized it was too fucking hard to do. So here we have monster hunters in another restaurant, which I believe is called the Old Mill. I can't remember it. It's basically the Burning Wood Mill from Frankenstein. And in there, that's where all the monster hunters are, and they're basically they'll tell you stories about how they fought monsters, which I'm kind of excited for. That sounds really cool. I imagine we'll have me. I'm always a filthy slut for lore, so I always will give a look at all the little references in the book. I would probably be in that restaurant too goddamn long, looking for all the little hints and references and Easter eggs in there. The other thing is that we will have monster meet and greets that will feature the Invisible Man. Thank God my boy Jack Griffin's there. But shockingly, one thing I've noticed, they haven't really talked about the Phantom of the Opera. They haven't spoken anything about the Phantom of the Opera in any capacity. So I'm like, you guys have him, you guys can use him, but maybe that's for a future expansion. But yes, I imagine he's gonna be there in at least at least in some capacity of an Easter egg, the mask or something. So yeah, maybe that'll be in a future expansion. Maybe a future. I'll talk about future expansions in a second. But yeah. So Das Steakhouse and the Mill. I cannot remember the windmill's name, but that one's gonna be a bar. So I'm excited for that. And where we're getting lore dumps in those restaurants. Cool. Something that Disney and even, again, Universal has failed to do in other restaurants where they said theme. So I'm not going to I'm not going to point the finger fully on Disney for that one. Universal has said, like, we were going to do, like, doing lore and storytelling in our restaurants, too, and you didn't do it. So, but Disney was also a little more notorious about it, because they were like, we're going to do, like, you're going to see a story with the Beauty and the Beast one. I'm like, yeah, the Beast comes out and waves at everybody every 20 minutes. Cool. Yeah, nice. How much was the gray stuff again? $30? No, thanks. I'll get a to-go box. Anyway. So, I'm really excited for that. And I have grown on the monster designs. I'll get to the big ride for later for the Frankenstein experiment. Or as it's also called, Monsters Unchained. We'll get to that one at the end. But the first big ride they have is Curse of the Werewolf. And Curse of the Werewolf introduces us to the what they're calling the Mystics, the original Romani group from the Wolfman, and we get to see the new version of Maleva. And here is where I have like a bit of a problem. It's probably the only gripe I've had so far with Dark Universe is that they aged down Maleva. And made her, like, in her 20s, and she's a sexy mystic. She looks like she came out of goddamn Fortnite. Like, the design looks very Fortnite-y to me. So that's the one gripe I have is with Maleva. I wouldn't have minded the aesthetic if she was still, like she's meant... The whole point of Maleva is that she's meant to be, like, the old wise woman. So, I don't know why you made her younger. And also kind of, like... I don't get that part, but, like, if it fits into the story, sure. But, like, yeah. That's the one thing I'm like, I don't know if I like that. But that's it. Like, and it's a minor gripe at best of like, aging down a character like Maleva, which I would have preferred to have, like, yeah, she should have been a... I mean, you could have kept the aesthetic, that's fine. Or at least made it a little more closer to her movie counterpart. But why'd you make her younger? I guess for people to fap to? I don't know. Anyway, Curse the Werewolf looks like is going to be a coaster, like an all-ages coaster. It's going to be a spinning coaster. And I'm already like, oh, so my vertigo is going to be off the charts. Wonderful. But no, that sounds like a cool idea of doing a coaster. And having a werewolf-centric one, and it looks like we are going to have, like, werewolf animatronics in the forest, at least in this old barn scene. It sounds really cool. I'm excited for it. Now we come to what is the big centerpiece of this ride that apparently is tying everything together. It is holding it all together. And that is Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment. Basically, Victoria Frankenstein has captured all the Universal monsters and has put them for an experiment, and Dracula has overshadowed it and has unleashed all the monsters on you. This is going to be an extreme dark ride coaster, and from what we saw, there's a quick glimpse of what I think is meant to be, because it's meant to be like a mixture of screens and animatronics. I'm really hoping we get because these animatronics, I read somewhere, and they kind of said it in the video of, like, they took a lot of inspiration from the Jurassic Park ride in Universal Studios Beijing. Those Indominus and T-Rex animatronics are amazing. So if they took that kind of technology and applied it to the Universal monsters, boom, I'm in. And again, we get to see, like, what looks like the Wolfman animatronic for a half minute, and I'm excited to see. And again, I don't think those screens... We probably will get screens here and there, but I don't think it'll be all screen-based. And what we saw, those CGI screens, that's more than likely, that's not the ride. That's not going to be in the ride. That's just test footage. That will be, like, that's just basically, like, how they do the CGI model to show you where the ride's going. Like, it's like test footage. But no, I think all the CGI figures we saw in that concept art, that was all... That's not going to be used. I don't think they're going to use screens that much. Do I think they're going to use screens for this ride? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be all screens? No. We are definitely going to get some animatronics here, and they were very dead set on saying this is going to have more animatronics and more evolved animatronics than they had ever done in any park. So that makes me very happy that we're going with practical effects here. Now, this park, like, again, I really have to give it to Universal Studios for, like, doing something of this nature, because they have... The Universal Monster movies, as of late, have kind of been damaged because of low box office sales. And again, it's known in part to Universal that they haven't really properly marketed a lot of these movies. So, there's that. Gotta hydrate. But I will give them credit that the whole point of this is to showcase that the Universal Monsters are, like, it's kind of the running theme now that people have taken and championed with. That the Universal Monsters are the outsiders. They're the ones who have been, ostracized by society and made to try to conform to it, leading to their own deaths. I really like that theme, and it also at the same time, they basically said, we're not romanticizing the monsters. They are the monsters for a reason. Awesome. I like that. And also, like, again, like, they are tragic figures. Like, they're really dancing with that line of, they are tragic figures, but they're still the monsters. I like that. I think that, this area of the park will be the one everyone will want to go to. Will it be scary? Yes. It will be definitely scary, and... that was their whole point, was that this is basically the PG-13 area of the park. Everywhere else you're safe, but here, you're fair. You're gonna get scared. And I can't wait to see what they'll do with this area come October. Are they gonna tie it in with Halloween Horror Nights? Are they gonna bring in the Halloween Horror Night versions of the monsters to this park? Who knows? But I really do believe this will be the crowning achievement, with everything they're doing with lore, of making their own lore to this, to making, putting all of this money into these rides. And the expansion, I keep hearing, will be like a Jaws ride, but with Creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't think that will, I would love to see that happen, but I don't think that's going to happen, because, after decades of how much pain in the ass the Jaws ride was, and I love the Jaws ride, don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted, but how much of a pain in the ass for economically it was to keep that ride together for Universal, it was the logical choice to tear it down and put in Diagon Alley. Would I like to see a Creature from the Black Lagoon ride? Yeah, and we do get to see the Gillman in this in a quick glimpse in the concept art for Monsters Unchained, but I think it will probably, what I think will happen is that they are going to put that on the back burner. I do think we'll get a creature ride, but probably not like a boat ride. I'd be shocked if they kept that for the expansion. I would like to see a, Phantom, if they do another dining area, maybe make it like Phantom of the Opera. Just because, again, I kind of want some more Phantom rep in here. So I wouldn't be opposed to some Phantom of the Opera representation as, at least a dining experience. Or a theater show. But then again, how do you make it, how do you make a Phantom of the Opera theater show and not make it the goddamn play? Right? Right? So, therein lies the problem. So maybe, a dining experience, just, take the Beauty and the Beast thing, but actually put a fucking story to it. Cool, or a dinner show, maybe? I don't know. I just kind of want some Phantom rep in here. He's the only one who hasn't got any, Phantom... And I know people are like, what about Hunchback? I don't consider... I know, Universal Monsters tries really hard to include Hunchback of Notre Dame as the first Universal Monster, but the whole point of the story of Hunchback is that he's not a monster. That's the whole fucking point of the book and the movies. So... maybe you could have, bells ringing, off in the hear bells ringing and hear, ring for me, the Hunchback or something, a reference to the Hunchback or something. We might get, in one of these, one of these dining experiences, one of the bells from Notre Dame. Or one of the, or several of the gargoyles, maybe. But yeah, I'm excited for this. It's the one this is the reason why I want to go to Epic Universe to go. I will literally go there, go beeline to Universal Monsters, and just spend like 70% of my time there. The other 30%, I'm not gonna just go to one park and one area of the park and bounce. I'm gonna go to the other places. I want to check out these other rides. So, yeah, I'm hyped, and I gotta give it to Universal Universal Studios for finally giving us a park and a park that we have wanted for so long as horror fans and as Universal Monster fans. And I know people are like bitching about it, saying, "Oh, it's the MTV generation. It's the super stylized version," and I'm like, where are you getting that idea? I don't see it. It feels like they're doing Gothic architecture, and it really feels like they are really trying to hammer home that they love those classic movies, just updating the looks. So I don't know where this hate is coming from of a park you haven't been to yet. But whatever. So, yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, are you guys excited for Universal Monsters, and do you have hopes that this will be the best part of Epic Universe? What are you hoping for, like, expansions? Are you hoping for, like, a Creature from the Black Lagoon boat ride, or something of that particular form? Yeah. Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.